Hello, everyone. Just for the benefit of those who are already joined the virtual meeting, we're just going to wait 5 minutes just to give the opportunity for others to join in, and then we'll make a start. So bear with us. Okay, well, we'll make a start. So welcome everybody who's joined in participating in this virtual meeting, which is titled Industrial Firefighting for High-Risk Industries in Malaysia. My name is Andy Peel, and I'm the Director of Training and Operations for Asia. And I would like to start off by explaining the purpose of this virtual meeting, which is to give you a bit more information about industrial fire training that has been taking place in the region for some years, way back to 2000, and a bit more about our partnership with what's known as the Fire Academy, which is part of Reliant New Tech. And they've been specializing in industrial fire in Europe again, for some considerable length of time, many years. And what we would like to do is talk about industrial fire training in Malaysia, in the Asia region. And what we are intending to do, introducing some internationally recognized standards for industrial fire training, and give you a bit more information about the facilities that we have here in Malaysia. We will then go on, and I'll introduce you to our Managing Director, Syed Misakar Al-Jufri, and Mr. Dufri will give you more of an overview of MSTS, which is part of the Reliant New Tech group, and the facilities that we have, a bit more detail about those facilities here in Asia. We'll then introduce you to Steve Watkins, who is the Business Development Manager for the Fire Academy, and he will focus on giving you some history of the industrial fire training that's happened in Europe, and more on the standards, and in particular the JOIF accredited courses. And once Steve has completed his presentation, we'll have time at the end for questions. So any questions you want to put to Steve or to us as a company, then please feel free to do so. And we'll try and give you the best, most informed information from the questions asked. And the session we would hope will last for approximately 1 hour, 30 minutes maximum. So we don't want to take up too much of your time. So we appreciate your attendance, and without further ado, I would like to hand over to our Managing Director, Syed Misakar Al-Jufri, and he will give his opening comments. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Andy, for your introduction. I hope everybody can see me and listen to me very clearly. Okay. Now, what Andy mentioned just now, I'm Syed Misakar Al-Jufri. I'm the Managing Director for MSTS Asia and also the Managing Director for RON Asia. Before we start our webinar session on the industrial firefighting, I just would like to share to you all what is MSTS is all about, so that at least you can appreciate what we do, and let's see how we can move together as one team here later. Yeah. All right. So I hope everybody can see the screen. All right, just a little bit of a glance through on what we do. There are two parts of the pictorial here, because there's one under Rely on New Tech and one is under MSTS. So if you look at here, what we do here at a glance, okay, we are part of the Rely on New Tech group. Rely on New Tech group, we have training facilities over more than 21 countries and more than 30 training centers worldwide. And if you are looking at what MSTS or RON Asia is doing, we are situated in Asia region. So we pretty much have centers in Johor, Sarawak, Pahang, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Thailand, and Indonesia. And we have 2 clinics in Johor and Pahang. So in Asia, we have 7 centers. We also have 13 centers in America, 10 centers in Europe, and 4 centers in Middle East. So pretty much our core business is doing safety training and consultancy. I will explain later a little bit in a glance in the next slide. But industries that we are focusing more now, we want to go into the more on the energy sector. Pretty much still the oil and gas, still one of the core business. We would like to go into the petrochem industry, the renewables, and also the safety critical industries such as marine manufacturing, construction, and public utilities. Those are the businesses and the industries that we are in. Okay, this is what MSTS is doing at the moment. I mean, if you're not talking about, we are talking about Asia region. So we are an OPITO accredited center. That's our core business. Under the training side, we have the safety and skills. We are accredited under OPITO. We are also accredited under CAM, GWO, Jabatan Laut, DOSH, and also STCW. Those are some of the accreditation and the safety and skills training that we are doing here. On top of that, we are also doing well control for drilling and well servicing operation. We are doing IWCF and IADC certification. We also have electrical safety training, the high voltage and low voltage, under our partnership with Thomson Bridge. They are from Australia. And we also do safety leadership training under KAVU from US. So safety leadership courses, mainly more to coaching and mentoring. We also have high performance coaches to support the offshore and onshore oil and gas and energy sector. Apart from the training and consultancy, we are also into the digital world, where we have our blended learning and e-learning and adaptive learning under our brand of Rely on Tech Digital. And we do have some simulation. Yep, our simulation, our well-controlled simulation, our drilling simulation under the Aberdeen Drilling School brand. In Malaysia, we have our Aberdeen Drilling International, situated here in Kuala Lumpur as well. Other than this training and consultancy and digital, we also do some application in terms of our operation here. We have our workforce management application, or we call it Rider, to manage the workforce management. We are also now into the business portal, or the self-service application, where you can see that, in order for you to book your training into the safety or the skill training courses, you can also book online. This is a self-service application under what we call as the business portal. That's one of the areas that we are looking at. And we are also doing some outsourcing training, the compliance and competency management, or we call it the training managed services, where we manage big clients in terms of their competency metrics and their training needs for global companies. And the hub for this training managed services is located here in Malacca. And also another one will be in the American Water. So basically, pretty much, this is what we are as MSTS Asia, or we call it as Rely on Tech Asia. So in Malaysia under MSTS, so this is the facilities that we have. Our corporate office is in Kuala Lumpur. We have a center in Cherating, Pahang. This is the actual picture of where we are. So we have one in Cherating in Pahang. We have one in Johor Bahru, Johor, which is located at Johor Port. And then we have one in Miri, in Sarawak. And we also have international company where we are also managing a center in Singapore, in Tuas, and we also have another center in Bangkok, Thailand. This is where NDPL is now at the moment, in Bangkok. And our operational support office is in Malacca. So basically, when we talk about the webinar for today, we are focusing more on the Fire and Emergency Response Center. So all the three centers in Malaysia, which is our Johor Bahru or Cherating, Miri, have the facilities that is doing fire training at the moment. So this is the real picture of what we have at the moment in our training location. This is in our Johor Bahru center. This is our center in Cherating. And this is our center in Miri. So basically, we do have the facilities to do this training. We are in the business. This is not a picture that we take from the internet. Yeah, this is the real picture that what we're doing. So pretty much we are here to support the industry in terms of firefighting. So we have 5 of our senior trainers that is currently with us. All the 5 trainers are a certified trainer and also a competent assessor. They are all from ex-Royal Malaysian Air Force firefighter, and some of them are been with us for almost 16 years with us, like Value. We have people like Bonnie in Miri to support us. We have Sofian in Johor, Andre in Cherating, and Fadli also in Cherating. So we have a vast experts in terms of training providers and training profile that we have, so that basically they are here to assist in this program that we are going to do. So just a little bit of highlight on what we want to do. Why we are here today is that at the moment we are only running Opito and our own accreditation program under this fire fighting courses. So what we want to intend to do is we would like to further enhance the accreditation by joining JIVE accredited courses here in Malaysia. This is where later we will, Steve and Andy will also explain a bit more further on what we want to do. And apart from the highlights for this year, we do also have the Opito Member OIM and CRO training in Kuala Lumpur, and we are moving into the virtual reality live boat training. So this is what MSTS is doing. So these are just a few highlights on our selected clients. We do support the industry. We've been in the market for the past 24 years, and we are here to support all your training needs. So that is a bit about what we do. And with that, I think I will pass back the mic, the session to Andy to continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Syed, for your contribution. As was mentioned in the chat room, if you have any questions during the course of the presentation, then please post those, or you may feel that you would like to pose the questions verbally, which we'll leave until we get to the end. So what I would like to do now is hand you over to Steve Watkins from Europe, who will go through industrial fire training and a bit on the history of what we've been doing in Europe today. Okay, Steve, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Well, for me, it's good morning, good afternoon to you. My name is Steve Watkins. I've had 40 years of experience in the emergency response, originally from the British Fire Service, the West Midlands in England, and then I moved to the Netherlands in 2000 and extended my career into the emergency response organisations and training sector for the high-risk companies. I also a business consultant looking at all sorts to do with emergency response organisations, credible scenarios, and training programs for our clients. I want to share you my screen now with the my presentation. I think everybody can see that. Okay. As I say, I'm from the Reliant Newtech family, a global organisation. I work as the business development manager. So I actually do a lot of training programs, set up competencies with JOIF, in the accreditation process with JOIF, and also be able to create a synergy with fire-related industries with the emergency response organisations. Let's get my presentation to move forward. Okay, as mentioned by Mr. Saeed, our global impact, looking at the solutions for training, e-learning, that comes out of our offices in Aberdeen. That's adaptive learning and online learning. The managed services, which Mr. Saeed has already mentioned, our consultancy areas, looking at response planning, pre-planning, emergency organisations, and looking at training in credible scenarios. Applications, again, Mr. Saeed has already mentioned about RIDER, and of course we have the simulations, and that's for the well, but we also offer an XVR system, which will look at all different facets, different disciplines, whether it's a tank farm or whether it's an industrial process. Then we can bring that into the virtual world, particularly for the technical, tactical, and the command training elements of our portfolio. So we look at oil and gas, that's our 62%, that's our heritage. In fact, we started off in the oil and gas and the public services. Maritime, we've had 40 years experience there. The renewables, of course, that's a major thing at the moment with the global warming. So looking at wind farms, our colleagues in Denmark have set up a really strong program of wind farm turbines and programs around workers with the wind farms, particularly offshore, and our other safety critical industries, not just the petrochemicals and the oil and gas, but also pharmaceutical industries. We have a lot of training done in Belgium, where there's a lot of pharmaceutical companies there. We also look at nuclear plants, where we have a lot of worked over the years in nuclear plants, steel industry, aluminium industries, and also the automotive industries. Locations, I think Mr. Saeed has covered that nicely in all the different continents through Americas, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. There's a few of our sites there. You can see the bottom center is our facilities in the Rotterdam, is where I am now based. All the hubs originally centered around the oil and gas producing areas. The North Sea was very strong 20, 30 years ago. And as a consequence, there was a huge number of training sites developed to service those areas. And since then, the Reliant NewTek group has grown into the Middle East, where we're looking at Doha, the Emirates, Baku, and in Kuwait, and in the Far East, and in the Americas as well. Introduction to the Fire Academy. It seems straight, Reliant NewTek, and we had to rebrand ourselves for Reliant NewTek Fire Academy, because simply the main focus of the Reliant NewTek globally was really offshore and in the maritime. But we had a big influence and a major history regarding fire training for online, downstream, onshore facilities, and also the public fire sectors. So that's where I particularly work, in the Fire Academy areas for the Reliant NewTek company. Our history and heritage. We were founded in 1985, and that was in the port of Rotterdam. And if anybody's familiar with Rotterdam, we have a major gateway to Europe for the oil and gas industries, 5 refineries and support industries such as off-site storage, tank farms, and petrochemicals. That was founded in 85, and that was founded by the Port of Rotterdam, Smit, these are salvage group, who are the investors, and they determined there was a need for fire training within the harbour of Rotterdam. At the same time, the MTC, that's the Maritime Training Centre, was founded, and that served the offshore and the shipping elements. So then we built up over the years a lot of experience with training within the Netherlands, but also then into Germany, into Belgium, into the Scandinavian companies, the Middle East, and even Australia. We had courses coming, participants coming as far away as Australia to run our fire incident command training. In 2004, we were bought over by Falck, which is a Danish company, and they specialized in online outsourcing and running of fire brigades. within Denmark, and they rolled that out to the rest of the world. And we got involved in that to try and set up training programs for private fire brigades and also the public fire brigades. So we then diversified from the petrochemical areas into the pharmaceutical areas and into the nuclear areas. In 2010, we bought out another training centre, Safety Centre Holland. That's in the middle of Holland, and we bought a program called ESET Saver, and that was all to do with rescue training in a particular Saver procedure and methodology. The Falk Academy was born in 2015. We decided we had an emphasis, we had a strong background in industrial firefighting, and we had a lot of in-depth knowledge, and we decided then to rebrand ourselves as the Fire Academy. In 2019, Falk, their main base of operations was the outsourcing program, so running of fire brigades, and they decided then to sell off their training departments, and that's all the centres that you see across the world, all the training facilities, to a company called Polaris, which is a private equity company. Then, of course, we had to rebrand ourselves from the Reliant Newtech, and we called ourselves the Reliant Newtech Fire Academy. This is our sort of sites that we've built up our DNA, if you like, over the industrial firefighting. On the left is our first facility, and you can see it's right on the coast of Holland, and that's subsequently been taken over by many tank farms and container storages. So we had to move into 1989 to the picture on the right-hand side. That's our training facility, still at the same place in the Maasvlakte in Rotterdam. And there we built up a lot more experience in industrial fires, and certainly for the tactical elements, the team leaders and the command training, where we can use our facilities to develop scenarios for a command-based practical on-scene commander training. And the latest version of the Reliant Newtech Fire Academy, still in the Maasvlakte, a little bit further down, but there you can see a new layout where we have 7 process areas, tank farms and the offshore areas, and also liquid natural gas training, which we also specialize in. So all this experience over the years, is the DNA is ingrained in ourselves to create a methodology, as you can see here from the diagrams, a unit where it's not just basic firefighting skills, where we can develop programs for scenario-based training, which we find very important in developing the skills and for control of an industrial fire. It's not just about putting the fire out, but it's a question of maintaining the operational side, working together with the operations to actually stop the feeds, create a timeline, how to stop the feed and create cooling to prevent the fire from escalating. So that's where we come from in our timeline over the years. We now train over 12,000 students a year only at the Maasvlakte in Rotterdam, but we also do extensive training out in the Middle East and other areas around the world where the facilities fit, or we can utilize our virtual reality to enhance the training there. It's high-risk petrochemicals, the public fire brigades, LNG exercises that we run with our live fire pit here, interior firefighting, that's also very important. Crisis management, so not just looking at the incident itself, but looking at the effects and how we can manage the reputational issues of the companies, the business continuity of the companies, whilst the incident is being dealt with by the command teams. Also hazmat and rescue. JOIF, we are accredited here in Rotterdam for a JOIF, and I'll explain a little bit more in detail about JOIF later on. but it's, yeah, every training centre is different. We have an accreditation to run this centre safely. That's most important, and to deliver the JOIF accreditation at the highest standard. We can run about 200 students a day within our facilities. I'd just like you to play now a short video. This is just to sum up our centre in Rotterdam and gives you an idea of our experiences and what we can achieve. Oops, my apologies. Go back one and start it up. Okay, so as you can see from the video, we have a wide range of experiences, not only in firefighting, but also in the emergency response and pre-planning phases and testing, especially with the new foam transition coming into, certainly into Europe, but extending now to the Middle East and the Far East, where we have to change from fluorine-based foams, the C8 types of foams, over to fluorine-free types of foams, and that has an impact. So we've developed at the training centre in the Maasvlakte training programs, because we can train with real fuels, and that we can spread to the rest of the Fire Reliant New Tech network. So where we look at it, oil and gas, we mentioned tank storage, very important in the Rotterdam harbour, and then we've built up with our experiences, tank firefighting courses and bun firefighting, using real life simulations, but also virtual reality and tabletop exercises. Chemical industries, logistics, because we had a major incident here about 10 years ago with a storage facility with IBCs, and from the lessons there we've developed training programs to cover those hazards within the manufacturing industries. Automotive, we like to keep one step ahead with all the big issues now regarding lithium-ion batteries. We develop programs for dealing with, responding to vehicles on fire or scooters. They propose a real impact on the way we actually attend. A fire in the car with one of these cars, an electrical vehicle, is no longer just a fire. It's actually a hazmat incident. There's so many dangerous chemicals, high voltage lines, and the risks of major escalation. Public fire services, so we do a lot with the Rotterdam, the Netherlands, but also in Germany and the Middle East. One more. Education and training programs. So if we look a little bit closer now into what we can offer what we helped with the JOIF accreditation. We have 4 levels of training. Level 1, so that's the first responder and the fire teams. The team leader is level 2, the commander is level 3, and for the high level board level, the crisis manager, we also offer bespoke training or standardized training. So level 1, the firefighter, we recognise through our time with the Falk outsourcing program, where we had to cover many different industries. There are core elements, so some basic elements to all firefighting activities. So use of foam, use of water, all those basic elements, breathing apparatus. But then there were industry specific. So then we were able to specialize in, well, was it a tank farm we're talking about? Was it a petrochemical? Was it a nuclear installation? Was it oil and gas? Was it a chemical plant? So then we actually introduced elements to the training courses to cover those specialisms. And then, of course, there's the differentiation. Maybe there was a need for a high reach vehicle operator or a gas-tight suit wearer. Then we could add those onto our standard training to create bespoke courses. Because all these levels, well, you need instructors. So with our experience over the last 45 years, then we built up a really strong train-the-trainer programs to instruct people in different countries how to increase their knowledge and experience and skills within these sectors.
Steve, can I just come in a second?
Yeah.
I think it'd be worthwhile just explaining who JOIF is and how it came about. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay, that's later on in your presentation, but you want to do it
now?
Is
it? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll jump in ahead.
Yeah, no problems. I'll come to that in a moment. It's a very important part. I agree. But looking at the level 2, the team leader. So we're looking at the basic skills of a team leader is the leadership and the decision making. Those are basic core elements, but then we can apply those to the industry specific areas. So what are the tactics for a process fire? Is it a matter of just going in with a hose line and turning the valve off? No, because we need to think about stabilizing the incident first, providing cooling to prevent escalation before we decide to go into the attack mode. So we look at more defensive philosophy before we go into the offensive. Level 3, the command, so the fire incident command, on-scene command. Again, there's certain basic command functions that we can teach across the whole industry spectrum, and then we can go into industry specifics to, well, there's a tank farm, different tactical elements and how we actually look for the command, not just on the scene, but what are the effects around outside of the premises. So we build that into our command training for the level 3. Move 1 stage forward. So fire team member programs we have, and these are also JOIF accredited. A fire team member program as a basic program. Fire team leader, again, as a basic program for petrochemicals. Incident commander, and then some specialists like tank and fire, bun fires, hazmats, etc. Compartment behavior training, conversion courses. So we have a lot of interest where we get, for instance, an aviation firefighter or even a municipality firefighter. They haven't got the skills to deal with an industrial incident. So we then have a bridging course, which will help them over that to get a better understanding of the process behind of controlling and extinguishing an industrial incident. It could also be just a gas release, and how do we do that without causing escalation? Hazmats, road traffic accidents, instructor training, as I mentioned, and there's an example of our virtual reality on the right hand side. So we can actually create a mock-up of an industrial premises, a generic one, but then we can bring in the tactical and leadership approaches, the decision making required to control that. behaviour. Well, we've got here tank farms. I say there's quite a strong element to those because we sit in the middle of Rotterdam Harbour. Oops, my apologies. So we have tape models of tank farms. So even if you haven't got a facility with a tank to train on, we can scale it down and we can learn a lot from these little small portable tank demonstration tables. As I said, we've worked in the foam workshops. We've developed testing programs for fluorine-free foams or any type of foams on different products, and that's according to last fire or the EN standards. And they are last fire is very industrial related, so it gives a different dimension to the EN testing, creating extra synergy with the problems associated with large petrochemical fires. So that's quite an important area where we brought that into our lesson materials, which we can share through our network within the Rely on Newtech. Okay, JOIF. What is JOIF? Well, it's the International Organization for Industrial Emergency Services Management. It was called the Joint Oil Industries Fire Forum. It was set up many years ago, the turn of the century actually, a non-profit organisation. Originally started off in the UK with all the chief fire officers for the refineries and all the major high-risk industries within the UK. They were having issues with how do we deal with certain problems, and they set up this forum where they could talk to each other and then try to resolve their particular issues. That has now developed a bit further now. It's there as a forum, as a website now where you can develop skills, understanding and competence for emergency services management. So it has a shared learning environment now. Primarily for the high hazard risks, improves safety within the working environment. And like I said, it's a shared learning within the industries. So they have a number of publications which they can share if you're a JOIF member. It also goes into a training portfolio. So on their website, you can see who are accredited to their systems. So they go out and audit a training site, like they've audited ours, and they'll go to audit Andy's, and they'll be able to ascertain there is a certain level of standard which is dedicated to the petrochemical and high risk industries, and not just a normal firefighter training, but it looks at the competencies within it, the instructor levels, the facilities you have, and how it's brought into a training program to define your objectives. So that's there is a link at the bottom of this you can see, and I think CETA has got a link for you, so you can go onto their website and there's a little small video which explains a lot more about it. So why JOIF? Well, we have a good standard around the world which is called the NFPA. It's a good reference standard. For instance, the 1001 is for firefighters. The 1081 standard is for facility professional firefighters, fire responders. It does not give accreditations. NFPA does not give an accreditation. What you have to do is apply for a Pro Board or for a IFSAC accreditation, which is separate, and that then determines whether you have a firefighter 1 or a firefighter 2, but it doesn't really hone in on the experiences of that particular industry, because the NFPA has very broad interpretations. So it gives a JPR, a job performance requirements of how requisite skills and knowledge you need to have. But if you read the actual statements, they are very generic and open to interpretation. Now, it does not detail how to achieve those elements. It does not look at specific industries. There's a statement in these site-specific requirements, which could be so broad, then you need somebody to make that link to your particular industry. So what JOIF does, on the other hand, it accredits the training centres and the training programmes. So if we set up a fire team member, as Andy will be setting up a fire team member or a fire team leader training, it looks at what's in that programme, how we're going to teach it, and what outcomes we expect from that training program. And so we get the highest level accredited trainers to run those courses. They have a training committee which vets the training programs. They have a team of people which go out and vet the training center itself to make sure it's adhering to the policies and performing and delivering the training at that particular standard. It publishes accredited training centres on their website, so you can see who's available and what sort of courses they can provide, and which are accredited by the JOIF. Industry specific, so they look at tank farms, they look at the refineries, they look at the pharmaceutical, they look at the oil and gas downstream sites, the chemical sites, and they look at the programs and they match them up to make sure it is delivering what we need. It offers as I said, the forum for shared learning. So any experiences, any disasters that's happened around the world, then they publish that on their website so people can start learning from the mistakes of other industries around the world. And it also has a number of documents, like the foam transition is one good document which is being shared on their platform. An example then for the NFPA, the 1081, the Facility Fire Brigade Member Professional Qualifications. It's quite an old document. It was industrial firefighting, now significantly changed to facility to cover more industries. And if you look at one particular statement, is to attack an exterior fire operated a gas as a member of a fire team. But it doesn't mention there about how do we control exposures or defensive operations. It just says you have to put the fire out or you have to close a valve down. It doesn't look at what the exposures are to prevent escalation. And that's where our courses are, which are accredited by JOIF. We look at defensive cooling, we look at corrective cooling, we look at preventative cooling, prevent levies for happening, for example. We look at the techniques involved in controlling fires. We call 360-degree cooling techniques. And we look at the consequences of thermal shock. So it goes that one step further from the NFPA in saying how we do it and what skills we need to run those courses. Of course, we have a lot of clients around the world, Middle East, in Germany, Shell global organizations, Statoil in South America. Yeah, these are sort of our main clients, which we've built up a lot of synergy and working relationships over the years to develop our DNA, which is helping the industrial firefighting programs. Okay, I think I've covered everything there. My name is Steve. If any questions now, I'd like to revert that now to the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Steve. If you can stay on video, because
yeah,
I suppose we're kick off. There's one question that's come from Hakimi, and he's asked, how about firefighting training on large atmospheric storage tanks? I think you touched on it, but maybe you want to explain a bit more about what we can do and under JOIF, etc.
Yeah, under JOIF we have a number of modules, so not just the training facility here in the Netherlands. We run a 4-day firefighting course, but also, shall I just stop sharing? There we go. But also, because we have a number of elements to the tank firefighting, we can deliver this sort of training around the world. For instance, I went to Turkey not so long ago. I've been to the Middle East, where we've developed with the client specific firefighting, tank bund firefighting programs. So it looks at the type of tanks, the type of scenarios that we could face with, the tactical elements, the issues, not just the tank itself, but how it could escalate, how to prevent escalation, looking at boil over scenarios. And we can bring that into the virtual world with our virtual simulations, or we can run tabletop exercises or even drills on the location of our clients. So that's one way we can actually help fill in that gap. The little tank tables as well is quite an important feature. That's not available everywhere in the world, but we are looking to spread that around the world as well. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you, Steve. I guess Hakami will come back to us if he has any further questions on that. But I would like to open out to the audience now. If they've got any questions to ask Steve, please come forward and pose your questions. Okay, anyone at all? Okay, well, if there are no further questions, then of course, subsequent to this virtual meeting, you have the opportunity to answer questions by contacting us at this email address. And also we have a questionnaire which we would like you to complete by scanning the QR code which is presented there, and we can get a bit more about your industry, your companies, and what your requirements are. I would just like to finish up and thank our speakers, our Managing Director, Syed Muzakkar Al-Jufri, Steve Watkins from the Fire Academy in the Netherlands, and of course you, the audience, for attending this session. It's very much appreciated by all of us here at Rely on New Tech MSTS, and I in particular, as well as thanking everybody for attending, I'd also like to thank attendants from Bomba. That would be Tuan Mohammed Razman Mohammed Amin, and from the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, Tuan Azraman. So thank you very much for your attendance, as for everybody else. So thank you everyone. There is a link that's been provided by us where you can complete the questionnaire, and I think 1 hour session has been very informative and worthwhile without going on too long. And we have a question that's come in from Hajar. Let me see. Okay, Hajar, I don't see the question. Siti?
Hi, Saja. I saw you raise your hand. You can turn on your mic or boleh boleh.
Oh, sorry, I just wrongly pressed the hand signal.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to talking to you over the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good day.